Some stories just refuse to die. They dig their hooks into our collective imagination and hang on for dear life, passed down through generations. The tale of the Mary Celeste is one of those stories. It's the ultimate maritime mystery, a real-life ghost story that has baffled historians, sailors, and treasure hunters for over 150 years. Imagine it. A perfectly seaworthy ship, sailing under its own power in the middle of the vast Atlantic. Its sails are set, its cargo is intact, but there's a chilling problem. There is no one on board, not a single soul. The captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, the entire 7-man crew vanished into thin air. Every story has a beginning, and the story of the Mary Celeste starts not in the open ocean, but in the dense forests of Nova Scotia, Canada. The year was 1861. On the shores of a tiny village called Spencer's Island, a group of skilled shipbuilders got to work. They were crafting a new vessel, a brigantine from the sturdy timber of the local landscape. This wasn't just any project, it was a community affair. Their hopes, their money. They named her the Amazon. At just under 100 feet long, she was a beautiful but modest vessel, built for the rough and tumble world of transatlantic trade. Her launch in May 1861 should have been a moment of pure celebration. But from the very start, the Amazon seemed to sail under a dark star. Her first captain, Robert McClellan, was supposed to take command for her maiden voyage. Tragically, just days before setting sail, he was struck down by a sudden illness, pneumonia. He died before ever getting the chance to guide his new ship out of the harbor. It was a grim omen. Accidents, unexpected deaths, financial ruin. Long before her infamy, she had a different name and bad luck followed her. After she was sold to Richard W. Haynes, he refitted her and renamed her Mary Celeste. In the superstitious world of sailors, renaming a ship is often seen as bad luck. Under American registration, the Mary Celeste was ready for a new chapter. Her new owners quickly ran into financial trouble, and the Mary Celeste was seized and sold again. This time, a New York consortium led by James H. Winchester put her back into service, primarily for trade between New York and the Mediterranean. He assigned Benjamin Spooner Briggs, a devout, experienced captain who even became part owner of the ship. In the fall of 1872, Captain Briggs prepared the Mary Celeste for a voyage from New York to Genoa, carrying 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol. He decided to bring his wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia. Their 7-year-old son, Arthur, was left behind to continue his schooling. The crew were competent men. On November 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste sailed out of New York Harbor. Almost a month later, on December 5, 1872, the Canadian brigantine DEE Gratia was making her way across the Atlantic, heading for Gibraltar. As they sailed through the choppy seas between the Azores and Portugal, the lookout spotted a vessel about 6 miles away. It was moving erratically, its sails awkwardly set and torn. As the DEI Gratia drew closer, they could make out the name on the stern, Mary Celeste. Captain Morehouse was immediately concerned. He hailed the Mary Celeste repeatedly, but his calls were met with an eerie silence. After hours with no activity, he sent his first mate and 2 seamen over to investigate. The ship was deserted, completely empty, yet she was in remarkably good condition. Her cargo of industrial alcohol was almost entirely intact. The crew's quarters were wet and disordered, but their sea chests, clothing, money, a woman's dress and a child's toys were left behind. The ship's only lifeboat was missing. A rope trailed aft, frayed and broken, and one of the pumps had been disassembled, suggesting a leak. Yet, the log's last entry, dated November 25th, noted nothing unusual. The sextant and chronometer were gone. Why would an experienced captain abandon a sound ship? The crew of the DEI Gratia split their men, putting 3 aboard the Mary Celeste to sail her alongside. They brought the ghost ship into Gibraltar, where a British Vice-Admiralty court convened a salvage inquiry. Frederick Solly Flood, the attorney in charge, was immediately suspicious and couldn't accept a simple abandonment. He argued that Morehouse and his crew had conspired or even murdered the Mary Celeste's crew to claim salvage. He pointed to dark stains as blood and a sword as a weapon, but the stains were rust and the sword a standard effect. Tests even showed the alcohol cargo was industrial and undrinkable. Over decades, countless theories emerged. One enduring idea: the cargo itself. If barrels leaked, flammable vapor could accumulate. Briggs might have ordered everyone into the lifeboat, towing it behind the ship. A gust could snap the tow and leave them adrift while the Mary Celeste sailed on. Other ideas are waterspout, a seaquake, or even ergot poisoning causing hallucinations. Sensational theories, pirates, mutiny, giant squid, alien abduction also surfaced. The lack of hard evidence made the Mary Celeste a blank canvas for imagination, creating a legend stronger than the simple, likely tragic truth. After the inconclusive salvage hearings in Gibraltar, the Mary Celeste was returned to James Winchester. But she was now infamous. Winchester tried to put her back into service, but notoriety followed. She changed hands repeatedly and became a pariah, an albatross for anyone connected to her. Her final owner, Gilman C. Parker, hatched a last desperate plan for insurance fraud in 1884. They loaded the Mary Celeste with junk, old boots, scrap, cheap canned food, and insured it for $30,000. In late 1884, Parker sailed for Haiti. On January 3, 1885, he deliberately drove the Mary Celeste onto the Rocheleau Reef. The impact and deliberate burning should have destroyed the ship, but her sturdy hull held. She stuck on the reef and only partially burned. Because she didn't sink, inspectors found the cargo was worthless. Parker and his conspirators were tried for barratry. Parker avoided prison on a technicality but died ruined and disgraced. The Mary Celeste's final act was to rot on a Caribbean reef. The wreck lay forgotten on the Rocheleau Reef for over a century. Then, in 2001, an expedition led by Clive Cussler claimed to have found her remains. They recovered timbers and artifacts that seemed to match her construction, though some historians disputed the ID. The discovery reignited fascination and debate. The idea that you could touch a piece of this mystery was irresistible. Arthur Conan Doyle boosted the legend in 1884 with a fictionalized tale that renamed the ship Marie Celeste and invented dramatic details that many accepted as fact. Fiction blurred into history. The myth grew larger than the vessel's physical end in 1885. Why does the Mary Celeste captivate us? Because it touches our primal fears. The unknown, vanishing without a trace, and the ocean's indifferent power. We may never know what happened to Captain Briggs, his family and his crew. Their fate is a secret the Atlantic keeps. The lack of an answer is what makes the legend immortal.